Alright, so class, the top part of this has got the different, use the FOIL method. On the quiz tomorrow, the first part for sure is going to have something almost exactly like this. But I don't know about you, I don't want to grade 9 of them, I'll probably give you like 3 or 4. You need to be able to show what all the possible sperm and egg, that sounded kind of weird, are for the different genotypes, okay? Okay. Questions about the top part?
It sounds like Monty Python.
Marin.
I can't place your
Sounds like the crocodile.
Neither can I.
You're switching.
I'm quite worldly. We'll just say that.
Mr. Dinucci, I'm gonna poke with a stick. You sound like the crocodile hunter.
He's dead.
I'm gonna poke with a stick. Okay. All right. Next part. Check your answers on page 120, whatever it is. Make sure you're checking the answers. So the top part. Here we've got the G's and the H's. You never ever want to mix up the G's and the H's. In fact, you always want to keep the big letter in front. Common mistake, people put the little letter, then the big letter. It screws everything up, so don't do it, okay?
Now that was
She
just
sounds like
mafia.
the cake boss
So don't
now.
do it.
Just don't do it, okay? Just don't do it. So, here's what you're going to do. Next step. Can some of you actually understand what I'm talking about, or is this way too distracting?
Sí, mucho.
I understand what you're talking
All right. Shh. You got to stay quiet, though, otherwise I can't hear myself think. So, once you have this part, which you're going to have to do tomorrow at some point on the quiz, I'm going to give you something almost just like this, just change it up a little bit. In fact, it's about monsters. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, you go ahead. You use the FOIL method. First, outside, inner, last. Then, you throw them on there, and then down below the number part. So, I'm going to... Wait, don't get... Hang on. That's a little overwhelming. Let's start here. So, this is what you do. There's a sock in Henry's face. It's scary. All right. You take those letters. You take those letters from up here. You put them down here. You do a little, battleship kind of thing going on. Big G, big G. Big H, big H. And then, as you go through this, notice it's so important. This is Miss Frizzle. It's so important that here, for example, you must always have the big letter, then the small letter. If you mess it up, it's going to screw everything up, and you're going to get really frustrated and be mad at your teacher. So don't do it. Are there any questions, seriously, about this bottom part? Yes?
Okay. For the quiz, I feel like I should be talking in accent.
You can if you want. It's kind of fun.
I suck at accents. Okay. Okay. Yeah, for the quiz, are we gonna have like that whole step 4 and step 5 missed, so like you don't have to write it all out?
I actually tried to make life even easier, and on the quiz, I put little dots here to show you, to remind you that you need 9 things, I think it is, and then 4 for down here, so I do that to make it easier. I will always give you the sequence, always, always, always.
Okay.
And then, the other thing is that, well, I'll explain that in a second. Are there any questions about how to make this box work? Yes?
Can you explain like the ratios and stuff at the bottom?
I'm going to do that next. Next thing, I'll do that for sure. Yes?
So you always have the 2 G's together and 2 H's together, right? You
Bingo.
don't put like GH.
No, that messes everything up. Don't do that. Keep them separate. Any other questions? Yes?
I don't get the step 5.
Okay, people are ready for the next step. So here we go. Let's start off with step 4, because that kind of makes sense. It comes after step 3 and before step 5. So, here's what you're going to do. Ready? Oh, I got to do something to make life a little easier. Okay, tape. Check. More tape. Just enough tape. Maybe. Tape. Tape. More tape. More tape. We're good. Okay, tapage is complete. So, you need to pay attention here, even though I'm being a little weird. The way you want to think about this is if you have homozygous dominant for both the first and the second trait, you want to see how often that happens down here. So, in other words, if you write things out correctly, you could just say big, 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 big. How often is that the case? So down below, we're looking for this right here. I'm going to call that number 1 because I just like to numericalize things. So, how many times here? Tell me. Is that big, 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 big?
Yes.
Yes. How about here?
Yes.
Yes. It turns out that's the only 2 spots. So, the first number here, what do you think it's going to be?
2.
Bingo. Next. Big, little, big, big. do it that way. It's very easy. Big, little, big, big. Where do we have? Do we have?
First, third
Here's
row,
one.
and third row.
Big, little, big, big. Big, little, big, big. Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah.
We got 2 of them. Next, number 3. Little, little, big, big. 0. Write the 0 in, for crying out loud. People last year wouldn't do that. They annoyed the heck out of me. Don't do it, okay? Write the 0. Number 4. Big, 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 little. Up. 1, 2,
Second row.
3,
And
1, 2, 3.
4. Any more? Big, 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 little? No. 4 of them?
that's
4.
it.
Next. This is so engaging and exciting. Big, little, big, little.
4.
I'm dotting them to make life easier. Once you dot it, you don't have to look at it again. So I'm just
Third
looking for
row.
big, little, big, little.
Third
Right
row
here.
twice.
1, 2, 3, 4. Next. Little, little, big, little. Does that exist?
Nope.
0. Write the dang 0. Okay? Big, big, little, little. I'm going to compare quiz scores from this class and the last and see who got the better
Both in the
message.
second row.
Big, big, little, little. 1, 2, 2.
If
Now,
our class is better, does that mean
Big,
you're going to
little,
stay with
little,
this weird voice?
1, 2. Okay, don't forget the last dang 0. Write it in. Are there questions about that part? The only time that people screwed up is if they don't write down big, little. For example, they do little, big, and that's just weird. Don't ever do this. Don't do that. Big, then little.
New accent.
I guess he gets it back.
Do Scottish accent.
Do the cake boss accent.
Scottish, kind of like that. No, that's
No, that's Australian. Do British.
Wait. What
Someone
what
I
did
didn't hear it. Someone did.
Ew!
All right, here we go. Next up, ready? So, I love okay, here we go. Next part.
Go and
yes?
pull the next.
I will give you the table. I might fill in a couple of them.
Can you explain this tomorrow again too?
Yes, you're going to have the first part of class tomorrow to keep practicing them. You have another sheet today that has 2 more, front and back, to practice. And then end of class, last 20 minutes is going to be your thing. Okay.
What's today? That's today.
Listen, here we go. Ready? So, all this means, and by the way, if this is not working for you, talk to me one-on-one and we can do a little workshop, okay? With a normal
Do a
Dinucci.
little workshop.
All right. So, all right. So, big D, big D, and then we got big D, little D, or big D, little R-E. All this means is, listen, all this means is, we have dominant for the first trait and dominant for the second trait. That's it. There's no recessive there, okay? So, what we're looking for down here is what I wrote here is this represents the first big D, big D. So you've got, the first trait is the eyeballs, and the first thing is going to be googly, because googly is dominant. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Now, the dominant hair color is going to be
Straight.
straight. It's pretty straightforward, right? Yes.
Can I write something on the board that I came up with just to
Yeah. Why not?
You
Of
can
course.
explain it and I'll write it.
Thank you. Okay, I love volunteers. Next, we got dominant, then recessive. R-E means recessive. People get confused about that. It's recessive. I should probably change how I do it, but we're going to go with that. So, dominant is still the first trait. It's going to be googly. You just said that. And then recessive, if it's not straight, it's what? It's curly, so we're going to write in curly. And I gave you the other answers. So all you're going to do now is, this is the phenotype. You're curious as to how many of your little babies are going to have googly eyes and straight hair, because who wouldn't want to know that, right? Right. So it's pretty simple. Googly, curly. Googly, we got to have a big letter, right? So you got the googly, you're looking for a big G, at least one. Now, if you're going to have straight hair, do you need a big H? Of course you do. So, let's look. Is that a googly, straight-haired kid?
Yeah.
So we're going to cross it off. How about that one?
Yeah.
How about that one?
Yeah.
I would love to have a random person walk in here right now. How about that one?
Yeah.
Okay, keep telling me. This one?
Can I go get Miss
Here?
Reeves?
Yes.
Like, actually?
No, I'd probably get out. I don't know. Okay, here?
I'm emailing this guy.
Here?
Yes.
Here?
She's here.
Here? How many total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. Next,
Four.
we're looking for googly. You got to have a big G, and then we need little, right? Got to be recessive. So do we have that anywhere? Oh, look, right here.
Everywhere.
Right here. right here, and right here. So, right here. So, you've now got. That's hard to do. Now, you have four. Okay. Now, life is easy at this
She
point
sounds like Heidi Klum.
because at this point, that's a compliment. Because at this point,
two more zeros.
0 and 0, it already adds up to 16.
You sound like the
How
crocodile
many of you
hunter
feel like you
again.
understand it better now? How many of you were like, this is insane?
Valley girl.
Valley girl.
Valley girl.
You're Valley girl.
Valley girl. It'd be like, like, I would.
I
The
was
next
like
thing that you
walking.
need to do,
That's what you came up with.
you need to do the next page where you actually practice and try to apply some of the stuff I just talked about. Okay, y'all? So, do page 133 and 134. You got it?
Yes.
No.
So like all of this stuff. Wow.
This girl's got a good head on her shoulders. You should look up here and use her advice. This is a good thing. Thank you. I'm going to pass it out. Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Conclusion. Don't turn it off.